INFJ and INFP, probably the most confusing pair in the entire MBTI world. They get mistaken for each other constantly, and honestly, they often mistake themselves too. One day they're watching a video, nodding like, yeah, I'm definitely INFJ. The next day, a comment hits different, and boom, they're convinced they're INFP, back and forth, again and again. And the more they search, the worse it gets. Not because they're lost, but because both types go so deep, even the tests can't handle it. They don't fit clean boxes, they bend categories, and when something resonates, they feel it hard. That's why the spiral starts. And that's why it keeps going. But let's kill the spiral now, for real. No theory dump, no cognitive function jargon. This isn't about letters, it's about emotional architecture. And once you see the structure underneath, what they're really protecting, how they make decisions, it gets obvious real fast. Stay with me, you'll feel it land in your chest. It usually plays out like this. They see themselves in both, over and over. Every post, every reel, every quote. INFJ hits, INFP also hits. And then the doubt creeps in. Wait, am I both? Am I mistyped? Why can't I just figure this out already? The longer it goes, the heavier it gets. Not for ego, just for clarity, for peace. That's why this video exists. The difference isn't in how smart, kind, or deep they are. It's not even about creativity. It's about something quieter, something underneath, what they guard, what they trust, what drives every yes and every no. One zooms out, one turns in, but not for the reasons most people think. Let me show you what I mean in the next few minutes. INFJs don't just feel emotions, they scan emotional systems. They pick up patterns in people before those people even see it themselves. Like a radar that doesn't beep, it just knows. They zoom out, they track what's coming next, and they hold the big picture while everyone else is stuck in the moment. That's why INFJs are calm in chaos. Their knowing comes from running the whole simulation in their head, emotionally. But here's the catch. They can look cold, detached. Not because they don't care, but because they're too busy watching how the whole thing unfolds to obsess over what they personally feel right now. INFPs are wired completely different. They don't scan the system. They guard something internal. They're tuned in, not out. Not looking for what's next, just listening for what feels true right now. It's like walking through the world with a candle in their chest. They don't want to blow it out. They want to keep it safe. So they check everything against it. Every word, every choice, every step. If it doesn't match that inner sense of truth, they don't move, even if the move looks smart on paper. And that's what people don't get. They're not slow, they're not indecisive. They're honest. But because that honesty isn't always explainable, they get labeled as vague, naive, or unrealistic. If that already hit something in you, subscribe. These videos aren't just info, they're mirrors. To understand it better, picture this. The INFJ is a GPS, always scanning the terrain, looking for the best route, adjusting in real time to where everything's heading. Emotional strategist. The INFP? A compass buried in a sacred forest. Doesn't care about roads, just points quietly toward what feels real. The INFJ zooms out to serve the whole. The INFP zooms in to stay honest with themselves. One builds the path. The other protects the soul walking it. One reads the weather system. The other listens for the sacred whisper underneath the silence. One guards the empathic vision. The other, the emotional loyalty. Now let's talk about connection, because this is where it really shows. INFJs, they tend to lead but quietly. They read the other person like a map. They hold harmony, even when no one asks them to. That's their version of love, carrying the emotional weight of the room and keeping it balanced. But sometimes, in doing that, they forget to check one thing. Are they being understood? Or are they just absorbing everyone else's story and calling it peace? INFPs don't do emotional crowd control. They do presence. Deep, intimate, sacred presence. If they open up to you, it's not performance. It's the most real thing they have. But if they feel like you don't get it, they won't explain. They'll pull back. Not to punish you, just to protect the thing that hasn't turned into words yet. INFJ pain sounds like, I saw it coming and couldn't stop it. INFP pain sounds like, I felt it was wrong, and I went anyway. Alright, I lied a little earlier. I said no function jargon. But if you're still here, you're the kind of person who wants the real deal. So here's the core difference under the hood. INFPs lead with introverted feeling. They don't move based on logic, trends, or group dynamics. They move when something inside says, "That's true." It's a gut-level resonance, not about looking right, about feeling right. INFJs, on the other hand, lead with introverted intuition. That's the function that tracks patterns beneath the surface, emotionally, psychologically, symbolically. They zoom out and ask, "What's really going on here?" But their auxiliary function is extroverted feeling, which means they also pick up emotional signals from the outside world. They read the room, they sense shifts, and they instinctively try to guide things back into balance. What's emerging? What's needed here? What keeps this situation from falling apart? So even though they both care deeply, they're wired in opposite directions. One turns inward, the other scans outward. One moves from inner truth. The other navigates outer harmony with intuitive precision. Same depth, completely different operating system. Now that we've said it plain, let's close this properly. But before we do, if you forgive me for that little lie, drop a "I forgive you" in the comments. Otherwise, I won't sleep tonight. Here's the thing most people miss. Both types are rare, both are complex, both are misunderstood. And the reason they get confused for each other isn't because they're similar, it's because they're both quiet on the outside and deep on the inside. They both love without a spotlight. They both protect something invisible. And they both get misread by a world that only sees what's loud. But once you really get the difference, you can't unsee it. INFJs carry the weight of the system. INFPs carry the weight of the soul. One maps the emotional terrain to help others find their way. The other protects the inner compass to make sure the journey stays true. And the question isn't, which one are you? It's, which weight have you been carrying your whole life? That's your answer. If this helped you get clearer on your type, or finally stop second-guessing it, then it did what it was supposed to. Subscribe if it helped, and stick around. We're just getting started. See you in the next video. Take care.